All right, let's now we're recording this. So tell me about the show you've been watching, Hannibal. Let's go. Let's go, David.
Yeah,
Let's kickstart this conversation.
let's kick it, man. Let's kick it. Let's kickstart it.
Let's do it. So
Yeah, no,
what's
Hannibal been
Hannibal
good.
about? About Hannibal Lecter, I expect. I've
Yeah,
never
I don't
seen it.
know. I always thought it was kind of set like Hannibal would set in a medieval time. I never saw the movie, but
Oh, you thought it
this
was
one's set in
about the
modern.
old Hannibal, the conqueror?
Yeah, well, I mean,
Kind of. You
no, I
you
think
thought it
there's
was
an
like
older movie.
historical
I'm
stuff.
not sure what the difference is between the historical character, the historical movie, and the new TV show. I have no idea why they're
Well,
all
okay.
called Hannibal or what
What,
relationship they
what
have to each other.
what's the TV show about? Just tell me what the TV show is about.
The TV show,
Yeah,
this
I've never
Hannibal
seen it.
Netflix show is it's about this dude who like wants to like his entertainment in life is manipulating people, and it's about his relationship with this other dude. They're all psychologists. One of them's an empath. They're
Wait,
all beautiful people.
but he's the
They're all
cannibal,
just
right?
gorgeous. Um, Hannibal. Are
Yeah.
you asking which character does what?
Well, I mean, isn't it about the cannibal, Hannibal, Hannibal the cannibal, or not?
Yeah,
Am I thinking a different
there's
show here?
no. That's it.
Oh, that's it.
It's yeah, but the cannibalism is like not even really the in any way related to the plot line, but
Oh, really?
well, I mean, like everybody goes over to Hannibal's house for dinner, and they're all eating humans, and like so there's like this something that you know that the characters don't,
So
and so
they don't
that's kind
know,
of
right?
weird, but
They don't know they're eating human.
no, no,
Okay.
Hannibal's essentially like a grandmaster manipulator, and it's all about all these psychiatrists trying to manipulate each other. It gets really really deep. And I didn't like the first season, to be honest with you. The first season was just weird. It's kind of all about one of the main characters kind of falling from sanity, I guess.
Yeah, let me.
But the second season started to get good because you started to see why Hannibal was doing what he was doing.
I'm just gonna share the screen with
And
you because that way,
okay,
and whoever's watching this or watches this in the future. So, are you seeing my screen?
yeah, I can see it.
Hannibal. So we can go to images. So it's this guy that plays Hannibal.
I don't know his name.
Mads Mikkelsen. I think he's Danish or something.
That's right there.
Yeah,
He's very well dressed. I can say that much about him.
he's really good. He's been in some stuff. He has a eerie look to him. But have you seen the old movies or just the TV show? Because there's some movies.
No, I haven't. Everybody just talks about how it's about cannibals, but it's really not about that. But
Well,
I always just stayed away from it because I thought it was weird.
can you see
But
this
I saw it
image
on
here?
a top 10. I haven't seen that one, no.
Well, this is Anthony Hopkins. He plays Hannibal. He won the Oscar for best actor, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so you gotta, if you like the show, you certainly need to watch Silence of the Lambs at least.
All right.
There's a whole trilogy. The first movie is Red Dragon with Edward Norton
Okay.
and Anthony Hopkins. Movie. You can see this, right?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. So, and it's this guy is the villain. I think it's Ralph Fiennes, I think, or one of the Fiends. He's really good. Ralph Fiennes, yeah, and he's the villain. And that's the movie that it's a trilogy. It's a trilogy of books, and they adapted them into movies. This is actually the first book, but it was made last. And then the second one is Silence of the Lambs, which won the Oscar for Best Movie, and Anthony Hopkins won the Oscar for Best Actor playing Hannibal Lecter. You're gonna love this movie. It's like from 1990s.
But it is set in modern times.
Yeah, it's like set in the 90s. I think.
Was Hannibal a psychiatrist in that Silence of the Lambs?
Well, no, it's fun. It's like it's cool that you're watching the show before the movies because that way you don't know what's gonna happen next. So I'm not gonna spoil it for you. But I do want you after you finish watching the show, you should watch the movies. And then Hannibal, the third one is just called Hannibal, and it's again with Anthony Hopkins, and yeah, so it's really good, man. I think you're gonna really enjoy it.
Nice. I'll look forward to it. Thanks for the suggestion.
Oh yeah, no problem. I mean, thanks for
I don't
the suggestion of the TV show. I might watch the TV show if you think it's that good.
Well, I didn't say that. It's one of those
Just
ones
interesting.
all of the good stuff's over and you're just trying to find the next good one, or you're hoping that you find the next good one. I'd put it at like a 7. There was a couple scenes where I was like, this is good. I mean, this is really good. There's just like one or two of those scenes, and it's always like hard to decide if a show's worth, you know, 15 hours for two really good scenes. But you know, everybody's got to make those kinds of decisions with their life. Hashtag first world problems.
Yeah, first world problems. True. You look like a Viking tonight, David. You look awesome. Like
I
you're
am a
ready.
Viking, my man.
Yeah, you're ready to go to war somewhere in Scandinavia, ready to go to Valhalla.
I've been hitting the punching bag, bro.
Awesome. I can see. So it shows, man. It shows. I can see your warrior spirit in your eyes, reflected in your eyes. You know the Viking beard and the hair. You're looking the part.
This is about as long as it gets. It'll be gone next month.
It's cool, man. It's
But
really
this is the first time public has seen it. I've had to wear a mask. Masks are bad for bearded guys.
um no, man. It's so the show. So you think it's only a 7? Okay, so but there are lots of great shows out there, man. If you think it's only a 7, I don't know if it's worth your time. I think
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's my point. Yeah, you got to make that call. It was number 1 on a list of underrated TV shows. So I was like, well, give it a try. And at the end of season 1, I was like, I don't want to watch this anymore. But I typed it into Google. When does Hannibal get good? And it said season 2. And like about 10 minutes into season 2, I was like, okay, all right, this is interesting. But yeah, you have to get to season 2 for sure, in my
you know
opinion.
what I started watching the Justice League Snyder's cut yesterday.
Justice League, what?
Snyder's cut. It's
Okay.
have you heard of it?
I think I saw an ad for it. Is it out? It's a
Well, it's
movie.
so Zack Snyder was making the movie. I don't know if you know the whole story, but basically, you had this guy Zack Snyder. He was the director. He was making the movie, um, and it's basically this movie Justice League. With Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, all the DC heroes. And he had like a personal tragedy. I think his daughter committed suicide or something like that. Something like pretty serious. So he
Hmm.
left the shoot. Because he obviously. So he was replaced by this guy. I don't
Oh,
know
in
if
real
you.
life, his daughter committed suicide. Oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like heavy stuff. So he was replaced by Joss Whedon because the movie wasn't over yet. Joss Whedon's a different guy. I don't know. Have you heard anything about Joss Whedon recently? Because he's been like in the news because I don't know. Have you?
I don't. And the first time I've heard his name was when you just said it.
Yeah, so this guy Joss Whedon, he's basically I don't know if you've ever seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but he used to make this show in the '90s called Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and apparently, and he made the first Avengers movie, and I think the second one as well. And like some actors have come out and said basically that he's like this huge jerk. He's been abusing his power for like 30 years and just humiliating people on set, just like being like this total jerk, like completely crushing everyone he worked with or a lot of people. So apparently that's what happened in that movie that he was finishing for Zack Snyder. Not only that, he basically completely changed the movie and turned it from a sort of uh, dark superhero movie into like this like cartoonish superhero movie, basically. So he changed the tone of the movie. He changed most of the scenes. He changed everything. So people have been
Yeah.
asking for Zack Snyder to release like his director's cut for a number of years now, and finally they
Yeah.
released the his cut for HBO Max, and apparently it's pretty good. And I tried watching it yesterday, and it's certainly like I could see right away that it was way better than the original Justice League. I don't know if you seen that movie Justice League. It came
No.
out like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I don't know if you like superhero movies.
I watched Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, so Justice League was the sequel to that one, basically.
Of something. I don't remember it very well.
It really sucks. So it doesn't really matter if you saw it or not. I mean, it was a shitty movie. But this one actually looks good. I mean, I only watched the first 30 minutes and then I fell asleep. But so this is the problem. The movie's like 4 hours long. So I started watching it late at night. So I knew I wasn't gonna make it. But and also I fall asleep, especially after the baby. But even before that, I mean, I fall asleep when I try to watch movies on the couch at night. I don't know if you have the same problem.
Sounds like dad problems. I'm jealous, man.
You're jealous of not being able to watch a movie.
No, dude, you get to spend your day with a child, with the being that you created, man. That's fucking cool. Just forgive my language. I'd love that.
Well,
I'd love to be in your shoes.
to be fair, I mean, my participation was quite reduced. Like uh, the mom did really most of the
Your
work.
participation is huge, man. You just told me that you take care of it in the mornings.
No,
So
yeah,
give
but I
yourself some
mean,
credit.
I mean, like the actual making of the human being.
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot less effort on our part as men,
A lot less effort.
which I'll leave there. I have more thoughts, but I'll leave that there.
Well, you can leave that there, or you can continue talking about it. Tonight, we're just like doing freestyle, Joe Rogan style.
You know, going back to the TV show stuff, I gotta say, check out Doom Patrol. I think that is probably one of the best shows that you've never heard about, for sure.
I've heard about it because I hear about all these TV shows. I have lots of free time, sort of free time. But I've never seen it.
That samurai one about the Doom Patrol it's a slow starter for sure too, and it's also one of those ones where season 2 got way better.
Yeah.
Oh, yawn. But it's all character driven. It's completely character driven. So the plot line, the storyline is almost kind of like almost hurts because of how character driven it is. But like it is so good once you start to get to know the characters and the way that they have to deal with their stuff and save their, leader or whatnot. It was really interesting. There's a one scene in the second season where oh man, I'm just gonna add it to the comments. If you guys want to laugh really hard, go look at the comments of this on YouTube and watch the scene I'm about to talk about, or that I'm not going to talk about, from Doom Patrol for sure. Yeah, I watched that samurai documentary series.
Oh yeah, me too.
Did you
Did
hear?
I talk to you about that?
No, I haven't. I'm glad we're connecting on something we both seen. But that was great. Holy
It was
cow.
fantastic, wasn't it? It was really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
I
I don't
knew
know
the
if...
Tokugawa regime was.
No, go ahead.
I wrote a paper in high school about the Meiji era transition from the Tokugawa period. But that was all about, the documentary was all about how the Tokugawa family took control of Japan. And it was fascinating how Middle Ages were just these, it was you and your sword and your friends and their swords. And like, it was that in the world, there was no civilization. It was just your family and your need to eat and have shelter and keep yourself safe. And it's just crazy how it all played out and how the power dynamics had to like level in. And yeah, yeah, it was really fascinating show.
Yeah, that was a fantastic show. I absolutely loved it, and I learned a lot. I mean, that show is very informative. The cool thing about those history shows, and I love history. Like I'm a huge history fan. Like I love learning about history, and the samurai. I mean, are some of, it's just cool, learning about samurai because it's such an interesting piece of history, the history of Japan. Um, and that period in
I
particular,
I followed that one up with I'm not even listening to you. Yeah, your interest in history is shared with me for sure. I love that kind of documentary stuff.
what did you follow it up with? You were gonna say,
The invasion of not Istanbul,
oh yeah, that one is a good one too.
Constantinople
Yeah,
by the Ottomans,
yeah,
and
man,
Mehmed's attempt, it was like the 25th attempt or something to invade Constantinople.
yeah.
And I would love to go see Istanbul. That would be so cool, but I don't even think, even without COVID restrictions, you can get into Turkey right now.
I had a friend who, not a very close friend, but she was a friend of mine, back in college, and she lived in Istanbul for a number of years. After college, I
Really?
think it was, yeah. Yeah, I think she like got together with some Turkish guy or something like that. She ended up in Istanbul. Um, and she lived there, I think, for a number of years, like 2 or 3 years or four. She said she loved it. She said it was really cool. I don't know if I would love it. I don't think that's my kind of place. I don't know if you are aware of this. You probably are, but Istanbul is like these days. I think it's the biggest city in Europe. So I think the population right now is like 15 million people, something like that. It's
Dang.
yeah. I mean, imagine living in a city with 15 million people. It's way too much, and I'm sure it's pretty chaotic, and um it must be crazy living there. It's just so big, like living in such a big metropolis. So I don't think it would be for
Yeah.
me, but I'm sure it's interesting. I'm sure it's a very interesting place, and I mean, it's one of the most historical cities in the world. um
Hmm.
it
Yeah.
started out as Byzantium, which was a Greek colony. It then became
Okay.
Constantinople, the capital of the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
When the Roman
Yep.
Empire fell, it was Constantinople, the capital of the Eastern Roman Empire, that we now call the Byzantine Empire. At some point, it was the capital of the Latin Empire, which was a Crusader state. It went back to being the capital of the Byzantine Empire as Constantinople, and finally it was conquered by the Ottomans. It was the capital of the
Mhm.
Ottoman Empire, and now it's the capital of Turkey. Modern, well, it's actually not the capital, but it's the center of Turkey, the financial, even political, I think, cultural center. The capital of Turkey, I think, is Ankara officially, but I mean,
Yeah, and
Istanbul
they
is.
probably moved it because there's so many people in Istanbul.
Yeah, I think they moved it as well, because it was the end of the Ottoman Empire, and I'm not really sure what the exact reason is, but they changed it when Turkey was created. I'm not really sure why, um, I mean, it's the city in Turkey. I mean, um, I think the population of Turkey is 80 million people, and Istanbul, has 15 million, just that city alone. So it's really the center of everything. Um,
Yeah.
and I mean, it's crazy, man. Like a city that old, that ancient, that has been the capital of a number of different empires. Important empires as well. These are like major empires. This it's probably the only city in the world that is set in that is located in two continents. There's the European part and the Asian part. So it's, I mean, just the sense that you get, I'm sure, like of history when you're in Istanbul must be crazy. Of course, a lot of that stuff doesn't really exist anymore, right? The Byzantine Empire doesn't exist, the Roman Empire doesn't exist. Um,
Well,
Hagia
I sure hope that there's a
Sophia.
patch of that wall that
Yeah, and I was just gonna say Hagia Sophia. I think that's what it's called. It used to be the biggest church in the world, and Constantinople used to be the center of. I think it still is of the Orthodox Christianity religion. It was turned into a mosque when it was conquered by the Turks. But I mean, it's a crazy, like it's crazy, like the amount of history that sitting in that one place.
yeah. Yeah. That makes me think of the Dome of the Rock in Israel. I mean, because if you want to talk about storied places, holy cow. That Islamic temple that sits on top of the Dome of the Rock sits on top of a hill in Jerusalem. And I mean, the stories of that go back. It's been a long time since I've looked at any of my theology stuff, but I believe like they claim that when Abraham was going to sacrifice Isaac, which is an Old Testament story, like he did it right there on the Temple Mount where the Dome of the Rock is. And then it's actually almost used theologically to define different epochs of theologies or dispensations, if you will. That's what the term they use. My light just keeps going out. And then the second time that it's in the Bible, I believe, is when King David goes and offers a sacrifice, um, and that starts the Davidic covenant. Oh no, it's not dispensational; it's covenant in the Old Testament. That's right. And then finally, I think there's more, but then finally Solomon, the son of David, he built not the tabernacle, the temple. He built the Jewish temple there. And I don't remember when the Jewish temple got burned down. It was during one of those invasions. Might have been the Persian or the Babylonian invasion of Israel. But yeah, the temple got torn down, and the Dome of the Rock is there now, and it's really fascinating because a lot of the Christians think that their book, their Revelations or whatever, their prophetic book of end times, claims that there will be another temple built there. And
There,
if that's the
that
case,
that's in
there's going to be one of the biggest wars in humankind taking the dome down.
that's in Jerusalem, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Pull up
that's
Dome of the
another.
Rock.
Yeah, I had never really heard of it, so that's really
Yeah,
interesting.
that's a storied place. If you want to talk about one spot where there's just like insane levels of history and drama and around one thing.
Well, Jerusalem as well. I
Mecca
mean,
is the big,
it's so old, such an old place.
yeah, about as old as it gets. Although I was watching a documentary on Jericho.
Yeah.
Apparently, the
Does,
city
does it
Jericho
does it still
it's an
exist?
Old Testament city as well. Yeah,
It
but
does.
they found this.
So it's a modern city as well.
It does. They think
Wow.
it was the first place humans ever congregated. Like it was where we moved from hunter gatherer to agricultural, because it was set in that piece of land where there was this spring coming up from the ground, and they could do agriculture in the middle of the desert there. So they think that's where like human beings kind of switched from the whole. They started gathering for the first time as a community at Jericho. And
Jericho.
there's a
I
really
didn't know it
old
was a.
tower
I
that they've
didn't know they
dug
still had
up.
the city today. I mean, that's crazy. How old is that? You think like 3,000 years old? Four
Well, I
thousand?
mean, and go back. You could probably go back and talk about Abraham giving penance to Melchizedek. There's probably absolutely no background evidence whatsoever that happened on the Temple Mount. But I would not be surprised if some scholar has found a way to correlate. And that's like as old of a story as you can get. The only thing we get that gets older is like the Mesopotamian Gilgamesh myths and stuff. Like, and that's arguable for sure. But
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
Yeah.
Storied places for sure. I'm gonna get to Istanbul. Got to see the Temple Mount. I don't know if I can go to. Can you go into Mecca as a non-Islam person? Because that'd
Uh,
be cool too.
Mecca, I don't think so. I think Mecca is only for Muslims. I don't think they allow foreigners or like not non-Muslim foreigners. I don't think you can go into Mecca, which is a
I
shame.
might have to convert for a little
That's
while.
how it works, you know. Honestly, I mean, I think that would be interesting, but it's not. To me, is not as interesting as something like Jerusalem, you know, or something like Istanbul, because I'm not a Muslim. Maybe I don't know. It's very interesting, but it's not quite as interesting. Um, it's also not as old, you know. I think the whole thing with Mecca is, you know, Islam was really it's to say it's a new religion. It's you know it's an exaggeration, but it's not that old of a religion. You know, it's like it comes from the 700s. You know, so I mean, we're talking, yeah, when you're talking about this you know, these temples and stuff, I mean, this is stuff that goes back a lot, you know, that's a lot older, you know, especially the Jerusalem stuff that you're talking about. But man, that show is just great. I don't think I have finished it yet, the Byzantine show, the conquest of Constantinople. um Man, I gotta go back to that show and finish it because it was a great show. Like they had been trying to conquer that city for you know, how long? Maybe 1,000 years, and they hadn't been able to. And
Yeah.
obviously, at that point, you know, the Byzantine Empire was a shell of itself. You know, it was just a matter of time. But still,
Yeah, man. The other one that I started was the pirate one.
well, I was just gonna say, man, I was gonna ask you if you had seen that because I think it just came out. And I had really to refrain from start watching that show because when I start, well, I guess I didn't finish the Byzantine show, but when I started the Samurai show, man, I had to watch the whole thing and finish it because I could think of absolutely nothing else. You know, I
Yeah,
was obsessed with it. So that's what's gonna happen because I love pirate stuff. So
it's fascinating.
yeah, I can't stop watching it. I have to, like, if I start the first episode, I need to spend the next 6 hours watching that.
Yeah, it puts the like you know about pirates from being a kid, but it puts it into the historical context of where England was and what Spain was doing and the reason why that spot on the planet was so valuable from a seafaring perspective. It's really good. I'm excited to hear what you think.
Well, have you seen the whole thing or just started watching it?
Probably halfway to a quarter, three quarters of the way through, if not towards the end.
Is it as good as the samurai one? Is it like the same style? It seems like it's a very similar style, right?
You know, that samurai one was done in such a good, it was so well done. Like the way
It
that they
was
had the
fantastic.
historians commenting and the aesthetic and the actors. And I don't think the pirate one's as good, but it's definitely good.
You know, I'm also playing Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Okay.
I've kind of like stopped playing it, so I only play like the beginning of the game, but I want to go back to it at some point. So I kind of want to use some synergy there, you know, like when I watch the show, I want to play the game, or I want to play the game first and then watch the show or something like that. Because you know I love those games, Assassin's Creed games, because also they delve into history, and you can't really learn a lot from the games just by playing the games. But in
Yeah.
my case, I play the games and then I read all the information that is, you know, they have. If you go into like the menus, you can read some of the stuff that they have there about history.
Mm-hmm.
So they have like these little like snippets of history, and then I go into like Wikipedia and the internet, and I spend like hours reading about these historical periods, the characters. Uh, so I'm gonna do that for the pirates, and that's such a fascinating piece of history, and people don't realize that pirates. I mean that stuff was real, that really happened, and there was even like I think that's the focus of the show, if I'm not mistaken, from what I've seen in the trailers. There was a pirate republic and everything,
Mhm.
which predates the United States even as a republic of free men in the Americas, uh, which is crazy. There's an actual republic of pirates, and that's a real thing that actually happened in history, and they fought the British Empire. I mean, history is just fascinating. It's crazier than fiction, really. I mean, for fiction to be as interesting as interesting as history, I think it takes a really like brilliant guy like G.R.R. Martin, with Song of Ice and Fire, and he's an amateur historian. That's why he's so good, because he reads a lot of history.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, interesting.
basically,
Yeah, I bet he's good with.
what he does is like he takes history and then he like spins it and mixes it up. He's like a historian DJ.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. I loved watching some. I watched a documentary on medieval England at one point, and I was like, "That's Game of Thrones,"
Yeah,
which is
man.
exactly right. Right? Didn't he take a lot of that history?
He took a lot of that and he just mixed it up,
Yeah.
like a DJ.
Yeah.
A lot of it is, I think, the his main inspiration is the War of the Roses, which I personally don't know a whole lot about. Um, Now that I know the War of the Roses is the inspiration for Game of Thrones, I'm very interested in learning about it. But also, I don't know if you know, but I lived in England for a number of years. I went to college there, um, and my university was the University of Leeds, and I think it's kind of embarrassing that I didn't learn this while I was there, but I believe that Leeds was really one of the main places of the War of the Roses. Like it was very important. Like Yorkshire, if I'm not mistaken, which is the Leeds region, I think that was basically one of the two factions. So I should really read more about this and learn a little bit more.
Yeah, you should. War of the Roses was I don't know anything about it. I'm not going to say anything.
You should.
Those England people love to fight wars. We
I
know a
think
lot about them fighting for
I,
sure.
I think that was one of the big ones. I think that was one of the most fascinating medieval like civil wars, at least because it was civil war.
Mm.
So like because Game of Thrones is basically a civil war, right? So yeah, War of the Roses I think is the biggest inspiration.
Cool. Yeah,
Like
Martin's definitely a great writer. I really hope he finishes up
I hope so, man.
the series.
He
If
takes
I
a
don't get to see how it ends from his perspective,
he takes a lot of stuff from
I'm
Scott.
gonna be sad.
What?
I'm gonna be a sad boy.
Yeah, man.
Oh, did you see the part in that Ottoman?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Did you see the part in that Ottoman invasion documentary about how the Scottish guy was there?
No, the Scottish guy.
Yeah.
I forgot.
So it's funny how
I don't
like
think
pretty
I've
much
seen the whole thing.
every major war has like a Scottish guy. Something about Scots. They like to go find out where the big battle is and like participate. But yeah, he was like he set up these barrels up on the wall on Constantinople on the southern wall there, and they were trying to tunnel under it. So he would like watch the water in these barrels, and if he saw like movement, they would start digging and then drop napalm into the tunnel. They had napalm back then or something like it.
Wow.
So yeah, I guess the Scots liked their war.
Man, like storming a castle or a fortress, or I guess in this case a city, was was kind of like a terrible thing to do, because they would have all those contraptions that they would throw at you, and like you would end up like dead and or disfigured, or burnt alive. It was not a it was not a very nice place to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I would not want to be an invader in the medieval times. I wouldn't want to be an invader anytime. It sounds like a horrible deal.
Well, yeah, it wasn't the best. Actually, in because we've I don't know if you've been following it. I think so, but we've been doing like meetings every week for the philosophy club on Fridays.
Yeah, I actually tune in sometimes. I'm not there, but I watch it on YouTube.
Oh man, you're like fan number one. You're the only person that watches it. Then I'm sure. So when I see one person watching, it's probably David.
Yeah. I like pick up my phone to text you sometimes because I want to add to the conversation, but then I'm like, David, if you want to add to the conversation, just go to the freaking meeting.
No,
But
it's okay. You can send me a message.
I get myself in trouble in philosophy groups because I can't keep my mouth shut. So it's good for me to listen.
Well, but isn't that the point of philosophy groups? Not to keep your mouth shut?
Not for me.
Not for you.
Not anymore. I've done a lot of talking in philosophy groups. I'm more interested in learning what other people think than trying to convince other people that what I think is good or right or true or whatever you're trying to do when you share ideas.
Well, there's certainly
I mean,
valid.
we do have a community that's full of brilliant people, just brilliant people. And
Man, my internet is sucks right now. David?
I'm at full signal.
Yeah, no, I think my internet's probably giving me some trouble here. If I'm gonna be a podcast,
Giant gust of wind came through and ripped my hat off my head. And I watched it like take off into the air and go up like 50 feet in this big arc. And I like, it was huge, massive winds hitting me like consistently. And I realized that I was like standing on the edge of a tornado, not like a real tornado, but like like a small tornado. You know how like you can see like the little ones in parking lots sometimes, but
okay,
this one's like probably 30 feet in diameter and like just enough force to like almost knock you off your feet. It was kind of intense, but my hat goes flying off into the air. And I'm holding the Red Bull and I'm like, want to run out in the street and grab my hat. But you know, the second you reach over to pick it up, so it's like the second time that something has fallen into the road in like 20 seconds, and I'm starting to get angry. So I look up at the homeless guy who's across the street, and he's watching. But the second I make eye contact with him, he like looks away, and I was like, "Dang it! It's like falling down the stairs, and everybody just ignores the fact that it happened. I'd rather you guys laugh at me or with me, and we can move past it. But now I just felt like an idiot. So this homeless guy's watching, and I have a headphone in the middle of the street. My hat's on backwards now because I'm not gonna make the same mistake twice. So I got my Red Bull and I run over to the headphone, and as I bend over to pick it up, I feel the other one start to fall out. So I like reached up and put it in. I was like, okay, I am gonna win. I am gonna get everything back into my pockets. So I pick up the headphone, I take both out, put them in my pockets, my hat's on backwards, I got this big coat on, I'm holding my Red Bull, and I'm finally like, it's like 30 seconds of me running in and out of the street picking things up. And the whole time there's this big tornado just like trying to push me over. It was crazy. And I finally stabilized, and this big gust came through, and I like raised my hands and I was like, woo, I did it. It was just such a funny moment. And this guy across the street, this gangster looking dude, really nice clothes, earrings, like the whole deal. He was like a wealthy gangster. I like yelled woo, and I looked at him like, dude, I did it. And he looked back at me, and he was like, you could see his face start to change into like solidarity because I think he saw a lot of it happen. Um, But then he he was like, oh, why is this guy all flamboyant and excited? And went into a straight face, like, I'm too cool to like smile at you. But I was so happy that I had my headphones and my hat and my Red Bull. Moral of the story: don't walk through Loring Park on a windy day.
All right, man. I won't. I mean, to be honest with you, I heard about like, um, I didn't hear the full story that you just told me because my internet was giving me some trouble. But I love like I thought it was so funny, like just like the enthusiasm that you use while telling the story. So
Oh man, it was so funny. I was just like, man, I can't even pick something up without something else falling. It's super embarrassing, and the homeless guy was just watching the whole time. So yeah, go back and watch that. I'm glad I could monologue while you were fixing your problems, though. Your
well,
computer problems.
it was a great monologue. The stuff that I caught. Your hair is crazy today. I mean, it looks really good, but it's like, did you use like gel or something?
Um, I gotta keep some secrets, Bruno.
Yeah, of course. You know, you don't ask those things. I know. I
I'm
know.
gonna okay. I'll be
Was
honest with you. My
huh?
hair is fine. Like, there's a difference between thinning hair and fine hair. My hairline's coming back a little bit.
Looks good.
But Danish hair, like this Viking hair, is so thin. There's no body to it. There's absolutely no way to get body into it. So I actually use salt spray. Like one of the few. I think guys just avoid talking about hair products if they do it. But whatever. I'm a
I mean,
metro.
who cares, man? Who cares?
Use salt spray. So you spray salt into it, like minerals, and then you blow dry it, and it's got some body. That's the
Nice.
secret for all you Vikings out there.
Exactly. No, it looks good. They should do. They actually, the next one that they should do of those documentaries on Netflix should be a Viking one, man. Because there's nothing more interesting than Vikings.
Well, I mean, History Channel just did like a almost 10-year like Viking show that's pretty historically accurate. I mean, there's not too much information about Vikings, but I would just go watch the History Channel show Vikings.
Okay, so Netflix needs to get that into their roster, um, or I should
What
just, I guess, pirate
I think it
the
was in
History
the
Channel because I don't have it.
I think it's on Hulu now or Prime. So
Is
if you
it?
got either one of those, check it out.
Okay. Well, I
But
did.
they
I
just
did.
finished that.
Yeah.
I teared up a little bit. Maybe I didn't shed a tear, but like I've definitely felt like some emotions at the end of that show because it was more to me than just a documentary. That was like
Oh, okay.
exploring my hair.
Oh, I thought you were talking about a documentary show, the drama show, Vikings. Yeah, that's probably my favorite show of all time.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
that's
I'm
that's
far from my favorite, but it's
definitely
good.
that's definitely like a top five for me. I mean, it might be number one. It's top five. I
Did
mean,
you finish it?
yeah, of course. I mean, I watched as soon as it came out, the last season. I think it came out on Amazon.
How did you feel about the way Bjorn died?
It was probably my favorite scene in the whole show.
Really?
It's up there. Again, it's like top five. Everything's top five. It's top five. In the whole run for me.
Did you like Ivar's little extravaganza over into the like east? I guess the Russians. I don't know what they were at the time.
I liked it. Yeah, I like the whole like. There are very few things I didn't like about Vikings. The whole show. I mean, I think that show is so good. I could have used a little bit more nudity. To be honest, like Game of Thrones. Come on, give us something.
More? You wanted more?
Well, a little bit more. There was no nudity. In
It
that
is
whole show.
America. 2021.
What?
It's 2021 in America.
It's
Yeah,
2021.
they need to have nudity in it, man.
I mean, when the show started, Vikings. I mean, it was like when Game of Thrones started, pretty much. Come on, they were very. They could have given us a little something. Come on, I mean, all those Viking women. Come on, but other than that, I mean,
Lagatha?
yeah, I mean, come on, some Lagatha.
I named my computer after Lagatha.
You did.
When I log into my desktop, it says Lagatha.
I think it's a good choice. I think it's a good choice. Oh, that's also top five for me. Lagatha's basically her final arc. That's also top five for me.
You liked it?
I liked
That battle with the dude, that fight with the dude at the end was pretty epic. They made
that in particular, that scene in particular. I mean, that was fantastic, man. That whole battle was the best battle, or one of the best they had in the whole show. It was a small battle too, but it was epic. It was like there was real violence. But that's another thing. They should have. I think they should have had a little bit more nudity, frankly, but certainly more violence. Like the show didn't really show us, the violence all that much. And I think, okay, if you don't want to show us some unity, okay, but you got to give us a little bit of violence with Vikings. It was like it was the way of life. um I mean, it's fine that they didn't show a whole lot. Maybe they didn't have the budget or whatever, but it would have been nice, to get a little bit more blood and a little bit more battle. Except, like in the invasion of Paris, I think they just used like a bigger budget for that particular episode or a particular couple episodes, because it was just so central to the story and so big. Like that was a big part of that season, and that was probably the best battle in the whole show, I think. Didn't you think?
that invasion of Paris when they did that little maneuver on the shoreline there. Yeah, with Lagatha was there, and
Yeah, it was
what's his
fantastic.
name? Rolo.
Yeah, Rolo.
Yeah.
That was
Apparently, that's what Ragnar did to try to invade Paris. He snuck in the coffin and kidnapped a princess. That's a legend. It's a total legend. But
yeah, that was
if
probably
somebody actually did that, badass. Like
well,
just straight up.
that's something that J.R.R. Martin actually, because we were talking about J.R.R. Martin using history. That's something that he talked about, like an interview that I watched with him, and he was explaining, and I think that makes a whole lot of sense. Um, and also, he knows more about history than I do, even though I read quite a bit of history, but he reads more, certainly. But basically, there are a lot of things in history, like when it comes to like those episodes, like particular episodes. A lot of those things are they've perhaps happened in one place, but then they end up in another place, in the accounts, because they're so cool, that people kind of use them. It's like they just insert them here and there. So you end up with episodes, maybe not that particular episode or that particular scene, but he was using the example of there's one an anecdote, or like a very cool line or a very cool speech that appears in several different historical accounts. So it's probably not true for all those different historical, like different historical periods, or situations. And it's basically, you have the siege of a castle. This is the template, and it's great. But it probably happened in one place, and then it got like retread, right, used in other different histories. So there's a siege of the castle, and they capture like basically the son of the king, right, or the queen, right? No, the queen. That's important. And they're standing in front of the wall, and they have the son of the queen, and they basically say, if you don't open the doors, we're just going to decapitate your son right here in front of you. So open the doors. And the queen goes, she lifts up her skirt and she says, I don't need him. I have all that I need to make another one right here. Which is not very 21st century appropriate, but this it was the Middle Ages, baby.
Yeah. Dang. Yeah, it'd be a
And
horrible thing to hear your mom say.
Can you imagine? That
Kill
apparently
him.
appears in a bunch of different historical accounts in different periods in the Middle Ages, like different places. So it's probably either it was a popular thing to say in those situations, which I don't believe, but I think it
Probably
was,
not a good idea.
yeah, I think it was probably recycled. Some of these stories are recycled. I mean, uh, I'm gonna be a little bit of a heretic here, but a lot of stuff in religion is, and I know you're religious, so I'm sorry, but like a lot of the
What makes you
stuff in
think that, Bruno?
huh?
What makes you think that?
Well, I mean, I just from what you've said before. If you're not, I mean, I don't know, but I mean, honestly, a lot of stuff in religion, is recycled, from one religion to the other. I mean, a lot of it appears in same thing appears in a bunch of different religions.
Well, no, sorry, Bruno. If you're gonna tell the world that I'm religious, we need to talk about that.
I don't know. Maybe you're not religious. No, well, because we've had conversations that you defend religion. It doesn't actually mean that you're religious. I guess. I've never asked you directly if you're religious.
Mm-mm. And you're, yeah, yeah. No, I let's dodge it.
Let's
But
dodge it. Let's
let's
go around.
definitely not tell the world that I am, please.
Okay. World, he's not. Well, world, I do not know if he's religious or not.
We can have that conversation one on one, not with the whole world watching.
Okay.
I would not say I'm religious in the same sense that you use the word though.
Okay. Well, anyways, you got my point. Yeah. So it gets recycled. A lot of stuff gets recycled a lot.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's there's a big overlap between religion and history, obviously. Mythology and history, especially.
Yeah.
I mean, ancient Greek history, just to give you an example, or I mean, this stuff, but just to give an example, I mean, ancient Greek history is like half myth and half historical account.
Yeah. I mean, Peterson's whole concept is like there's truth, like there's a certain level of truth in myth that you can't get in science or wherever else you're going to look for truth because it's been passed through so many human consciousnesses over the millennia. Like if you're going to tell your son a story that you heard when you were a kid, you don't remember all the details of that story, but you do put in the stuff that is useful. You put in the stuff you want your son to know about. That was the point of storytelling. In fact, I think most of the time you'd sit around a fire and the shaman would come out and you had a story time. It was like everybody sitting down to watch a movie, kind of, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how did you learn how to behave, like as in a tribe, as a hunter gatherer, or even as an agriculturalist? How did you learn how to behave? Like, do you just watch the people that screwed up and didn't do what they did? But like, if you're a parent in that community, how do you like proactively teach your kids the behaviors that are going to help them survive in that community? What tools do you have?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said there. Yeah, for sure. I mean, fundamentally, I don't agree with that like Peterson stuff. I mean, to me,
Are you
that
just going to throw everything he's ever said under the bus?
no, that specifically, I don't know everything that he's ever said.
That specifically, I mean,
Like, I don't agree
maybe
with
I
it
should keep
personally.
going
Huh?
because I haven't really made the point yet. If you're uncomfortable talking about Peterson, that's
No,
fine.
I know. Like, well, I don't know. Maybe if you want to make the point more, you can't. But I have heard like him talk about that specific thing. Like, I don't know everything. I mean, I don't even know, because I know Jordan Peterson talks about a lot of things. I mean, I've heard some stuff from him, like that piece on religion, for example. But I'm far from Jordan Peterson expert or anything like that. I mean, I
Well,
have heard him talk about religion.
I mean, from a pragmatic like level, though, I mean that's the line of thinking, and I need to know that you're on the same page. Like, if you have a kid and you live in a hunter gatherer tribe, how do you teach it not to do the stupid stuff? that you
Well,
watched your friends do,
yeah, no,
or
no, I don't disagree with that. No, I agree with that. The thing that I don't agree is that just because it's religion and just because it's been said or it's been passed from generation to generation for a long period of time, I don't think that makes it more valuable or more true. You know, that's the point I don't agree with. I understand the historical value of it, and I understand the historical process.
more true than what?
Uh, like what? What do you mean? Um, well, like today, basically, I think that's what you're asking. Like in the 21st century, I think it's not like particularly useful. You know, some of the things, like Christianity, for example. I'm Christian, you know, like historically, I understand Christianity. I'm like culturally and like by upbringing, I'm a Christian. I'm a Catholic, but like so I mean I partake in the Christian religion. I mean in Catholicism in some sense in my life, you know, like I'll probably baptize my daughter, you know, but I don't see it as I don't see Christianity as the gospel, so to speak. Like I don't see it as the truth. uh like it's fine if other people see it as in that way, but I don't think it's just because it's ancient or it's supposed to be ancient. I don't see that as any indication that that might be true. You know, I think that that's kind of like a simplistic way of looking at it. I don't say that in an insulting way. I mean, I just think that it's more complex than that. Honestly, I think it's a historical process. You know, I think I look at it from a historical perspective as a historian because I like history. I'm not a historian, but I like history. So, and religion to me is a historical process that just happens to be still alive today, and it has relevance today in a number of ways. But it's still like a historical process.
It has relevance in a number of ways,
Yeah,
but it is a historical process.
yeah,
I
like it
don't know,
means
man.
stuff
It
to
feels
people.
like you're just kind of like disregarding an idea. I mean, I would love to hear your foundation. You know, like what has replaced that? If that was what humans used for understanding what they defined as truth or whatever for millennia, what do we have? What do you use now? Like what has replaced that in your worldview?
Well, I think that the thing with religion is that it's very it's something that encompasses a lot of different aspects of life, right? And that is part of what makes religion religion. That's part of what makes it powerful, what has made it powerful in the past, right? But Christianity is not really one thing. I mean, Christianity tackles ethics. You know, Christianity is metaphysics. You know, it gives you an explanation of the universe. Christianity is history. It gives you historical accounts of the history of one people, because
Mm-hmm.
Christianity is really derives from Judaism. It's not a new thing, you know. It's an offshoot. It's a spin-off, as we would say if it were a movie, you know, from Judaism. So it's a lot of different things, you know. And look, the people that are Christians, for example, in southern United States, just to give you one example, I could use a different place, like could say like Northern Ireland, but you know, southern United States is interesting because it's so modern, such a modern thing. Like what they believe is not really, you know, what Christians believed 500 years ago, or let alone, you know, 1500 years ago. I mean, it's this is like a living, breathing, evolving thing, you know, that gets, you know, pieces of things, you know, from here or there, you know, like, and people they use it in a way that suits their needs, you know. Like for example, how can you reconcile Christianity and slavery? You can't really, if you use it as, if you're looking at Christianity in a pure sense. But if you're in the southern United States, obviously not in the 21st century, don't get me wrong, but you know, throughout almost the whole history of southern United States, until the abolition of slavery. Um, they figured out a way to adapt religion to their needs, including reconciling it with slavery and all that. I mean, the whole point of Christianity really was it was a slave religion. It was a religion of the slaves.
Really?
Well, I mean, it's partially. Well, I guess that's like that way of saying is like Nietzsche's way of saying, but it was largely like a big part of the population of Christians were slaves, or either slaves or oppressed people. But slaves were a big part of the population actually of Christianity. So when I say slavery, like when Nietzsche says it, he's also talking about other things, but no, but I mean, in a literal sense, I mean, a lot of Christians were slaves, so it had to be something that appealed to slaves. And if we go back even further than that, it wasn't slaves; it was people in occupied territory by the Roman Empire that weren't free people or anything like that. They weren't slaves, but it was people that it was basically it's not really about being slave, it's about being powerless. Like Christians were powerless people in general, and then you had your occasional powerful person that would be captivated by the Christian religion, which has beautiful messages, like all men are or everybody is a son or daughter of God, like it's an egalitarian religion, which is very different from example, at that time, the Roman religion.
Hmm.
So look, it's a beautiful religion if you compare it to other things. But if especially if you're a slave or if you're otherwise an oppressed person, it's a lot more appealing than what they had back then.
I mean, okay.
So no,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about it. So like every religion has like these historical aspects to it. Why is
Yeah.
why is it like in the Quran? And I think actually Christianity had this as well, but just people kind of like forgot about it. Why can't you eat pork? I mean, it's not like because God said it, right? Really, I mean, it's because it was a very convenient thing for you to teach people. Pork is not a very safe thing, especially the way they store the meat, the way they prepared it, and all. It's better to avoid pork, for people's health. So religion was also, it had a lot of practical aspects to it. You analyze Islam as well, like it explains the world, it gives you it organizes society, it gives you moral direction, um, it establishes codes of conduct, it establishes hierarchies, it brings social cohesion, it brings military cohesion, because unlike Christianity, which was a religion of the powerless, Islam was really a religion for conquest, for war, for domination. So it had that role as well of creating a powerful military society. So I mean, all religions have their purposes, and they evolved in a certain way. I mean, that's what I mean by historical processes, and from my perspective, from someone in the 21st century, uh, I look at them that way, in that way. I might agree with some stuff, I might disagree with some stuff, but I also want to understand where this is coming from.
What's this? You want
Religion.
to understand where
Religion.
this is coming from? What?
Religion, where whatever religion is coming from, whatever information it is providing me is coming from. um and you asked me like what replaces it, from in a metaphysical sense. I mean, I'm not going to believe that. I prefer to believe a scientist's explanation of a thunder than I would the explanation of the Norse mythology of Thor. Like
And
I
why is that?
because
Why is the scientific explanation more true?
Well, I don't know if it's more true. I mean, I don't really know much, but I mean, from
Why
my
does that
perspective,
why does that have more confidence for you than the
because
religious?
because I rely on their process more. Like I think they have a better basis of understanding of these phenomena.
Do you think
Uh,
science can give us a morality?
well, that's another aspect of it, right? I'm saying metaphysics, but or physics, but morality is a different thing. I think science can't really give us much of a morality at all. You know, you
Did
can't.
religion attempt to define metaphysics?
Well, what I mean by metaphysics is the or like I said, metaphysics or physics. You know, in general, like the composition of the world, or like
What is the Christian metaphysic? I got to start. We got to start winding down. I'm already way over time, but what from your perspective? What is the Christian metaphysic?
um well, like stuff like where do we come from? What is the meaning of life? How was the universe created? All of those things you find an answer in Christianity. I'm not a theologian. I don't know. I'm not an expert in religion. I know some things, and I'm a Catholic, so I mostly have an understanding of the answers that Christianity gives for those questions. And yeah, I mean, I understand those answers. I rely on science more than Christianity to answer those questions. Um,
Yeah, no, that's where I would say are actually challenge you to think about like how does science offer morality? Like
well,
how
morality,
can you derive an ought from an is?
but morality in particular, no. But morality is not those questions, right? Morality is like what is right and what is wrong, uh, and that's a
Well, I
different
mean,
question.
the existential questions in my mind are in a different category than the metaphysics. You went straight to to like existentialism from how I would normally process things, but I mean, maybe this is a conversation for another time. This is definitely my wheelhouse, though. This is what I spend my time thinking about. And if you ever want to talk about it more, I'm down.
Of
There's
course.
definitely like like if I was going to answer my own question, the religious metaphysic is mystical at its core, and it's hard for us, a Westerner, someone who's been raised in the axioms of Descartesian thinking, to accept any kind of metaphysic that suggests anything that's not measurable is real. So I
Mhm.
guess that's the question I'd leave you with. Like, is something real if you can't measure it? And to what degree is it real with respect to something that can be measured? You know, that's a big question that someone who professes a scientific worldview should probably think about.
That's a good question to end this with.
Yeah.
For all our viewers out there in the world of YouTube.
Have fun.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Bye bye.